Evening. Maybe we'll go around the table and just say who we are, but let's get started with the first item on the agenda, which is the um, a minor subdivision of. Are you the applicant?
I'm the dad of the applicant.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm the land surveyor that's produced the plan in front of you.
Could you help us with the last name?
Yeah, it's Hospicel.
Hospicel. Okay.
This is easy.
Yes.
Hospicel. First name Derek. Hospicel.
Okay. On behalf of Seth Downs, great.
Seth, you're from Anchorage, is that right?
Yes. No, I don't. My son does. I live right in Lyme. I'm in the he's a duplex there, the old property at 114. I'm living right there in one of the
Oh, okay.
He's in Anchorage.
Well, we're going to go around by introductions. I'm Ms. the chair.
Tim Cook, vice chair.
I'm Vicky Smith. I'm just a member. I live on Market Street.
Ed Kahn, I'm a member of the select board and zone office. Mrs. Matt Miles, another member.
I'm Hebe Quinton. I'm an alternate and I live on Shoestrap Road, so I heard all the timber cutting this last early in.
We had Rich Brown, who is also an alternate member.
Oh, okay, great.
On Zoom.
And it looks like we have a few.
So hi Rich, hi Hebe, I'm Steve Maker. I'm in a butter of this lot and we're just curious about what's happening.
Great. So what we generally do is go through the subdivision checklist to determine if the application is complete. And Eric, if you want to do a brief introduction of what's trying to be accomplished and any of the of any things you think we need to know about, that'd be great.
I think it's a fairly straightforward survey. We're proposing a minor lot line, a minor subdivision of a parcel at approximately 30 acres, right on Route 10. It is in the commercial zone. There currently is a house on the property that Danny and Kathy live in. And the intention here is to create a separate, well, to subdivide the parcel into a 5-acre lot, and then the remaining land would be retained by Seth and his family as another future building location.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Vicky.
Can you tell us what's on the the proposed lot 2, what's there already?
The existing lot 2, that's right here.
Yeah.
The house, there's a house and a barn.
Okay, and are there 2 dwelling units there?
Apparently so, yes.
Okay, and were they done as is that an ADU or is it a condo?
I think prior to my being on
And Bracken and Sandy Kelsey used to own it.
Well, I know, but I was just trying to understand if we
Yeah.
have a legal
Yeah, I know.
situation there or not. I mean, it seemed as though there might need to be another septic for that lot or.
So we have submitted on behalf of the owners a letter from a septic designer that said that there's a current system there that has a state approval, and then there's another test pit that was done to prove it, that another septic system could be designed and installed to support the number of bedrooms at the house.
Okay, so I guess the state approval referenced in this plan is for this small lot.
No, it's for the remaining land. There's actually a septic system, that's been designed for the other one. Yeah, and the location of the test pit up in it would be, yes, that test pit.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it is, okay.
Yep.
And then we don't have a state approved septic system for lot 2, is that correct?
Well, it doesn't need, well, we don't need to prove that it's already an existing home with a septic system installed and a test pit was done to prove that should the existing system ever fail, it could be replaced
Okay, so
by a
actually,
licensed stamp designer.
well, he said that he thought it might, but that the state didn't know, but the.
No, well, nothing's approved until a septic design is submitted to the state.
Correct.
And we didn't do
Exactly.
that, but we can
Yeah.
prove, what
Yeah.
he's saying is he could submit you know, he said that it would work.
Well, I read it too. I wondered though, the existing system there, is it designed for the 6 bedrooms? That are.
Are there 6 bedrooms there?
Well, apparently that's what's referenced in Lester's note, just to say we're not sure, if. The state would need to approve it, not him, I mean, because he's the designer. But there was like a 2-bedroom and a 4-bedroom, yeah, he said a 3-bedroom and a 2-bedroom, so there's the 5 bedrooms. So I wondered if they share that septic system, and if that septic system size.
So let me,
This is in Chris's letter to the town of Lyme. Like that. It's included.
yeah, that's all everything. Yeah, but so I don't have I don't have the permit for that. What I did was provided a test pit for, we provided a test pit for it, should this existing system fail.
Mhm. Okay, and to your knowledge, both units use that one system?
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess yeah. And so you guys live in one of those units?
Wife and I live in one of the unit and Jesse and Erica, and they just had a little baby 3 weeks ago, live in the other unit.
And are they family members as well? Not that it matters, or are they just neighbors?
We met them when we arrived.
Okay, so, yeah, they're your
Jesse
neighbors.
Cutting.
Jesse Cutting.
I didn't know if this was family or, yeah. Yeah, okay, and we don't know what the history is there.
No.
Mhm. Okay.
So, anything else that, you want to tell us about? I'm curious, there's there's kind of a small a long rectangle. Maybe it's the 100-foot wetland.
No,
setback.
those are the building setbacks as they pertain to the state highway. And the town of Lyme's building setbacks, but this house predates, the location of that house predates the setbacks from that frontage.
So this line here is.
That's what they would be, if you were gonna, if this house was ever, well, those are the building setbacks. This house predates the existence of these setbacks, so it does not meet the setbacks.
Right.
Okay.
But she's there. Been there for quite a long time.
Yeah, I mean, that house got moved,
Yeah, back
When
further
Route
from the
10
highway when it was relocated.
was
Yep.
built.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So anything else, or, shall we go through the checklist at this point?
Can I say another question about?
Sure.
So is the one unit in the barn and the other one in the house, or there are 2 units
No,
in the house?
no, the house is 1 unit, the barn is nobody lives in that, in the barn.
Okay,
And the house is a duplex.
I see, okay.
Okay,
Hi, this is Megan Stevemaker, and I'm not sure what the order is, but I would like to ask if we can inquire about the plans for the other portion of the lot at this time, what might happen with that land?
um,
Thank you.
This point in time, the board is only considering the subdivision of the property, for another house to be built there, it would be something that would go through my office first. If there are any zoning issues, then they may need to seek relief from the zoning board if there's any relief available, but otherwise, it would go through, my office without any, board, any hearings or any reason to go to the board.
I see. Thank you. So I'm sorry, I'm just an abutter and I don't understand all the procedural issues, but is this the only moment when we can inquire about what might happen on that land? In other words, what you're saying is in the future, if this subdivision goes through, anything could happen on that land or only certain things could happen on that land?
Anything that's allowed under the zoning could happen as, a standalone lot.
Thank you. And so if it's a commercial zone, this is in the commercial zone, as I understand, the commercial district. What kinds of things could happen on that lot right across from our house?
Anything that would be allowed as a commercial use. The zoning has the whole list I believe it's, table 5.1, lists the types of uses, but anything that would be allowed in that district would be allowed within that portion of the lot that's within that district. There is a, setback from, Preston Road that is not in that district. So there would be a buffer between you and what would be any commercial, allowance in there.
Is that 100 feet, David, or
I want to say it's a 1,500 foot.
1,500?
Well,
No.
It's
I think it's 175.
175.
About the road setback?
No, there's the commercial,
the commercial versus residential.
right, the commercial district does not come all the way to,
So Meg, do you know where the little wood road hits Route 10? Just
Yes.
south of that intersection?
Yes, exactly.
The commercial district ends just south of that.
Right.
So, and that goes straight back from Route 10. So
Mhm.
that would be that would be the buffer you'd have.
What basically was the snowmobile trail, which they
Yes.
turned into the logging access.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm sorry, but I just don't know what kinds of commercial activities are allowed in the commercial district. Are we talking about heavy machinery and clanging and beeping? What kinds of activities are we talking about that could be very disturbing to a residential area?
So the zoning.
Or traffic as well, because of, if there's lots of commercial traffic.
The zoning regulations are on the Lyme Town webpage, and it's table 5.1 that.
Actually, it's table 4.1.
4.1, sorry, 4.1 that
Thank
tells
you.
the kinds of things that are allowed.
I see.
There's a number of business uses that are allowed, and some of them actually require a site plan review, and some of them would just go through the normal building permit process without site plan review. Okay.
So David, as far as road frontage, that's not really an issue, right? As far as number of houses.
no. There's,
I mean,
hold
so
on a second.
the road frontage is counted on Preston.
Route 10 in Preston, wrong. My calculations, there are 2,066 feet of road frontage
With those two roads,
with those two roads.
right? So that's,
And what's the frontage they need for Route 10?
Not sure what you're,
Each lot needs how much frontage on Route 10?
there's no requirement for just Route 10.
so it's 350 feet per house.
Well, per lot, we're talking about lots.
If you're looking at.
Are you guys talking about
The road
something
frontage.
way beyond what we're proposing?
No,
You're
I'm-
talking about what could or should maybe happen down the road in the future, or?
Well, the across the street neighbor has every reason to ask what might happen to that lot because most of it's in the commercial district. So, and you know, she just needs to look at 4.1. I mean, right now, 4.1 would allow uses in the commercial district without subdivision. I mean, the residential house could go away and that whole lot could be used commercially. So that could happen now. My question is what is the frontage requirement in the commercial district?
Commercial district, 200 feet.
200 feet per lot.
Yep.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
So they could have 10 lot, in theory, they could have 10, there's 2,000 feet of frontage, they could have 10 lots.
The problem with that is that it's a state highway and the state's only gonna allow you so many accesses off a state highway.
Right.
So regardless, I mean, yeah, you could create road, or you could pass the road frontage test by making X number, just doing the division. Oh, I got 800 feet of road frontage. I can do 4 lots. Well, yeah, but the state's only gonna allow you so many points of access, then you start talking about shared driveways or building another road that meets town requirements, so that's like getting way out ahead of, what could go on there, but.
One more question and then let's get into this checklist.
Where would the driveway be to access the big lot?
At the existing road that's shown on the driveway, it's already got it. For the big lot,
Yep.
right
big
now,
lot.
it's the logging road with somebody calls it a snowmobile trail.
Okay, but does the state recognize that as a driveway for residential use?
Yes, there's the state driveway permit already issued for that.
For residential use?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is the proposed driveway plan.
And so I guess if Meg probably cares about that driveway is off of Route 10 and not proposed across from her house.
Right.
Yes, thank you so much for bringing that up. I appreciate that, especially because it's very steep and we've had many accidents on the very steep part of Preston Road. It's a very dangerous road, 1 lane only. The access to that lot from the main road seems very exigent. Thank you.
And I believe that was the reason that it was designed that way, was because of trying to come off of Preston Hill would be
Right,
difficult.
well, it doesn't show here as a potential driveway, it just shows a wood road, so I didn't know whether they're permitted or not.
Okay, well, let's go through our checklist. The notice, names of abutters and businesses, 1A and B. David, are those?
There was one change I made and probably should change on the plan, is the one to the south, the Pickle Dish Hollow. That property is sold. And it's Montgomery and Med Chandler are now give you that too. And if you want a copy, well, I just made a copy, but I have the deed.
Yeah. Okay. I can follow that.
You want a book?
Oh, for a deed, yeah, for the deed reference.
Yeah, there's the book and page if you want to. No. And that happened very recently, and I wouldn't have expected you to know about it. I just happened to know the owner, and he mentioned to me they sold it and everything had gone through. So yes,
those are-
everything is, the names and addresses are, other than that one change,
Okay, and the plan is stamped with Eric's land surveyor's stamp and also Audra Klum, who is a certified wetland scientist.
Yep.
So those are the two.
yeah, and those were on the notice list.
Yeah. A topographic map, and I believe they requested a waiver on that.
And I think that the topography is shown adequately, so that's something that we might want to consider.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I did want to know, is the driveway plan that they submitted have more detailed contouring for the new driveway?
Yes, and I actually have, a profile of the driveway to see that meets all the requirements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Conservation, district map, the size, scale, I think those are good for, B1 and 2. Boundaries around the entire parcel. Yeah, I believe that's all complete. Location of zoning boundaries.
That's shown in the commercial and the.
Yeah, that's shown.
But the district boundaries, they said they submitted something different to you, David, for the conservation district.
I have, all the calculations for lot 2. They asked for a waiver for all the calculations and showing the districts on,
The remaining land.
The remaining-
large 25-acre piece of property.
there is, I looked at the districts, and there are only 2 that I found other than the wetlands, which I don't have as detailed information as they've
Mhm.
provided. There are some agricultural soils, that are in the rural district that's
Mhm.
on the outside of the property,
Right.
a very small, about 96,000 square feet.
All right, you had given us this map before when we were looking at development potential,
Yeah.
and this lot has very little in the way of ag soil.
Yeah, and
On
it's,
that 25-acre, proposed 25-acre lot. So, yeah,
and then, I did the calculation for steep slopes and found very minimal steep slopes.
mhm. So when it comes time for whoever is gonna supposedly put a residence, a 4-bedroom residence there, is the area where they have the test pit and where the septic system has been permitted, is that
That is outside of all the
outside of all
conservation
the
districts.
districts? Okay, well, that's nice.
So the fact is they have shown the conservation districts on the 5-acre lot, but not on the other.
Correct.
And so that is something that, they've asked that we waive that. I feel somewhat uncomfortable waiving that at this point. But I'd be interested in knowing what other board members feel about that.
Well, anybody else want to offer an opinion? I've got an opinion. I seem to be talking a lot, so somebody else can go.
So David, if they came to build a house, first to build a house sometime, you would have to know all the conservation.
I have. Yeah, I would use my own versions of them, and unless they wanted to challenge my versions with, somebody who goes out and surveys the property and says different,
Right.
then I would go with my calculations, and I can pass this around. This is, the calculated steep slopes of the property. And I can. That second one around,
I guess the question is whether we need it on this actual map, because you're gonna have it anyway.
yeah, I'm personally comfortable with not having them on the larger map. I don't think it's going to add, there's not enough of them to, worry I have that information. And so I'm quite happy with, using my information and locating the house and driveway that stayed out of those districts.
Mhm. And because this is a lot of record and a minor subdivision, we don't have to, that 2.28. With the reductions actually doesn't apply
It
for lot
does.
sizes.
Because this is a lot that had already been subdivided.
When was it subdivided?
1996, or I believe it was 96.
Yeah, so.
So the same year, there's a plan reference up in the upper corner of my notes,
Mm-hmm.
95.
Post zoning.
Okay, so. Okay, so then we get to the question of whether or not this is actually, appropriately sized. I mean, it's a question for both of them, then.
Right, and the, well, the larger, when I looked at the full lot as it sits today,
Mhm.
you max out at 26,000 square feet for, building or lot coverage and 7,000 square feet for building footprint. And then what my intent was when I get if this subdivision goes through, I just deduct those numbers from the calculations for the smaller lot. And
Okay, so my question is, when we come to lot size, if 2.28 does apply to this, then isn't lot 2 too small? Because we take out all of the districts and we only have like an acre.
I
I know
thought
that
that
this is.
your calculations were done to prevent that from happening.
Correct.
Because we talked about that.
So it would, the minimum lot size in the commercial district, is it 1 acre? Yeah, and by the way, there's just a typo here because this should be, remaining area should be 1.05 acres and not 0.5 here. And it's copied on the calculations that was submitted with the application, but this is just showing as 0.5 and it should be 1.05.
Okay,
So that when you
okay.
know, when you.
When I make the other revision.
Yeah, when you
Yep.
change the owner, the pickle that follow now,
Okay,
to change that, it's just a typo, because the math is all right, except for that one.
correct.
And probably the backslash looked like, or maybe the one looked like a backslash. But, I don't know, but that just needs to be changed, that's
Yep.
sure, yeah,
Okay,
it's just.
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and it's the same on this, what you submitted here. It just says 0.5
So, yeah, okay,
instead of 1.05.
right. Yep.
Okay, yeah,
Minimum lot size for the commercial district is 2 acres.
2 acres. Cause this then is 1.05. Right?
Again, I'm
Well, I'm
Correct.
just following these calculations and this is on the side of the plan. Right, I understand why this was 5.1, so that for state subdivision approval, you didn't have to go through state subdivision approval.
Correct.
But then if 2.28 applies, then 1.05 is.
What are you talking about? I'm not following.
Okay,
what you're
well,
talking
I'm
about.
just showing.
Cause I don't know what you're saying when you say 2 point.
Okay, I'm just looking at the subdivision regulation.
Sure, okay, so
Right.
you're referencing that. Gotcha.
Right, and what it says for lot size here. Is that
All those things are
all those things are taken out and that's what
Correct.
you did here.
correct.
But you arrive at 1.05 instead of 2.
Okay, well, I'd have to take a look at that. I mean,
Well, no, I think your math is correct, but I think you might have to adjust this lot line a little bit to get it up to 2 is what it looks like. If this applies, I didn't think this applied, I thought this was the minor subdivision. So of a lot of records, I thought, oh, this doesn't apply. But I think all this is correct, but I think what you want at the end, if minimum lot size in the commercial district is 2 acres, that this needs to be 2 acres, not 1.05 acres. And I don't know, David, if I'm like
no, I
misunderstanding or just what. So, but that's just a lot line. You know, you can add acreage to this to get that.
well, I guess I'd have to take a look at that for a second and revisit this.
Okay,
And to understand what it is you're trying to say, because you're saying that the minimum lot size in the commercial zone is 2 acres.
that's what our zoning says.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not saying it. And
Right.
then in our subdivision regulations, lot size shall mean the total horizontal area within the boundaries of a lot exclusive of.
Okay, yeah,
these
I
things.
understand those
Yeah,
things,
which
yeah.
you've already gone through. You've gone
Yep,
through the
yep,
math
Yep,
and you came out with 1.05
sure,
and it should be 2.
okay,
So this just needs to be a little bit bigger to make it so that this outcome is 2 acres rather than 1.05.
well, okay, I thought it was that, when you're done reducing all these, that you have to have 10% of the building footprint, which is this
You made
and
that,
this.
yeah.
Right.
Those are,
And so,
Correct.
and so these, yeah,
yeah, so you have a conforming lot by those standards, yes, those are fine, but for the minimum lot size. This has just gotta be bumped up in terms of acreage to result in 2 instead of 1.05. He's the zoning administrator, but I was just like.
No, I missed that,
Okay, so, but you just need a little more area in that lot. So in reality, as we measure things, this needs to be, 6 acres, or I don't know what it comes down to, because I'm not sure how much of this 100% the wetland setback would be included in if you just made it a little deeper lot.
yeah, well, so I gotta say that. I thought that I was working pretty closely with David on understanding these lot size calculations and what I provided to the town,
Mhm.
and so. I'm. Trying to understand how we came up short with this after we went back and forth a few times to understand what's going on here.
well, the issue is that, we talked about making sure that there was enough acreage to support the house.
Right,
But there was also the requirement that of the minimum lot size.
right,
Period, the minimum lot size after you take everything out has to be at 2 acres.
okay,
And this doesn't.
all right, so that's confusing in the way it's written, because I assume that. By submitting a 5 acre lot, we had submitted. And you had to start with a minimum of a 2 acre lot and then reduce all of the. You had to have at least a 2 acre lot in area, and then you made reductions in all of the. Things that you recommended in your, or suggested in your list. So
Well,
what you're saying is that. Okay, that. You guys gotta give up some more land to make that work
To make this lot conforming with the zoning.
for
There-
commercial.
In the commercial district and, yeah. This lot needs to be smaller, lot 1 needs to be smaller, and lot 2 needs to be a little bigger. So that it conforms with our zoning, or, if you wanna go to the zoning board and ask for relief. That's an option, but, in that. If you just move this back, there's.
Oh, yeah, I
Gonna
understand that.
be, the wetland setbacks are some of the. The most 80%, so,
The most restrictive.
right.
I'm
Yeah,
not-
so
yeah,
you're,
okay.
but, so you might have to move it back, more than you
Right.
would think, but.
More than an acre, yeah.
Well, it's, I'm not,
Yeah, I'm not sure even why you guys have the commercial district in your town, because that's
well,
like, wow,
that's
okay.
the other thing.
I mean, cause it's like, why call it commercial and restrict people for residential, because nothing commercial would even possibly work there. Based on your zoning ordinance, so, the town's definitely accomplished that. Keep commercial entities out of the town and off a state highway. Yeah, I got you. So we'll, we'll make it bigger. We'll make it bigger.
So, I think we're still talking about the conservation,
District map.
district map, and
So you're uncomfortable with waiving that for the lot 1.
I mean, it feels to me, I mean, yes. It sounds like we may or may not have an application to build a house, on the remaining property.
Well, they went to
But-
the expense of a septic plan sounds like it would.
Or they could be building something else
Yeah, yeah.
or, you know, I mean, people
Yeah.
do things to get permitting so they can then sell the land and,
Yeah,
you know, it becomes
yeah.
more valuable
Yep.
to buyers. So it feels to me like we should, I don't see a reason why we would waive showing the conservation districts, especially as we're talking about how much can be built on the lot and to avoid confusion in the future, because this is the last time this board will be seeing this. Once it's approved. It just feels like that's my personal preference, is that I don't see a reason to waive it, especially if it's available.
Yeah, I guess I was just thinking that if in the future they come in to apply to build a house, David's gonna do it anyway, right?
Yes.
I mean, he's gonna have to do it anyway. So, yeah, and you wouldn't use this at the time.
If I have a survey that has had somebody do all the calculations based on the property, then I would use their calculations. You know, I'm not gonna take boots on the ground over a GIS calculation.
I guess for me, I kind of feel like the bigger lot, we don't need to see the conservation districts at this time, because whenever they decide that they're gonna build on it, those things might have changed, and I don't want to give them a false sense of, oh, that it's a done deal, here, because things might be different in terms of our regulatory scheme. The other reason why I feel like that amount of acreage, and David having looked at it and feeling kind of comfortable, and then seeing, you know, how this 5 acre, you know, so what if the 5 turns into 7 acre lot, you know, to make the minimum lot size. We got plenty of land in the, you know, the big lot to get to our, 2 acres that we need in the commercial, so that's why I would support not requiring conservation districts on that bigger lot, but that's just my way of thinking about it. And, you know, and listen, I hear you and want
Yeah.
to be conservative, but I also don't want to message future buyer of this to say, oh, everything's fine, because it might not be, when they actually, you know, go out, and who knows what our conservation districts are gonna be like, so that's where I am.
I think you've convinced me.
Well, I don't know.
Rich,
It's an added expense for the applicant.
Sure,
Rich Mengy.
yes.
This is Rich Brown. I'm sorry. I started to ask a question and my internet connection dumped. I'm not on Lyme Fiber, so that's so my question was, I didn't actually bring the prints with me as on my trip here. Can we get a summary of the acreage that the applicant had proposed that yields the 1.05 buildable lot?
5.01.
Okay,
It's
so
not a summary, it's surveyed. I mean, it's
yes,
a very
right, okay.
accurate. Yeah, it's not a estimate.
Very good. So starting with the 5 acre parcel, he wound up with just over an acre of the, after subtracting all the overlays. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's so there's a possible waiver on showing the conservation district boundary. Soil types, those are shown.
Yep.
Um,
Did you get the test pit information on both of these?
I just have the test pit information from for the larger lot.
Okay, and can the test pit information be provided for lot 2?
I'm sure I can. Kristen sent me that, I'm assuming.
For the other lot up the hill?
No,
What?
the existing house.
I thought that that was all submitted as part of the application, wasn't there? No.
The letter he sent did not,
Okay, this was a letter. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's right, because that's what that we could submit. With a letter to prove that it was buildable. And then you could do a septic system there.
Okay, surface water drainage ditches and swales. Um.
There's wetlands shown, there's that were delineated, but there's no surface water.
Okay,
And the ditches are shown via the contours.
people happy with that?
Contours.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, I'm surprised that, it's a big piece of property that we don't have streams coming down. But. Yeah,
Especially since there's a wetland on both sides of the house.
yeah, no, and something has.
It's just right around where the spring is over by the house. That's, and it flows into a culvert, but it's
Mhm.
really just a seep. It's not even, when I was there, it was not running water. It was just wet,
Mhm.
Delineated wetland.
It's remarkable that area, if you dig a hole, it fills with water. It just comes pouring down, but it's traveling on the across the rock that is about 2 feet down.
Mhm.
So there's no surface water on Lime Hill either on our side,
Mhm.
but there's lots of water and wet areas.
Mhm.
So you say there's a spring?
Yeah, it's shown as the well. It serves the house.
Oh, that's the well. Okay.
It's just, yeah, well.
Okay.
Wow.
So
That's just a
C,
shallow well that serves all, those 2 units, really? That's crazy. I mean, that's productive.
It
Yeah.
didn't go dry this summer.
I know.
C, subdivision layout map, if lot size average subdivision is planned.
So that's not.
That's
Yeah.
not applicable.
not applicable.
Okay, the site survey map. The size is okay with
Yeah.
registering. The scale is fine. Prepared by a surveyor, boundaries are complete, there's a bar scale. And presumably this has a date on it or will have a date.
Yeah, there is a date
Lower right,
right down,
Yep.
in title at the very bottom.
Existing and proposed street right-of-way lines, that is done.
Yep.
Existing and proposed lot lines. That's done, but I guess it's subject to revision. Location of existing easements.
Yep.
That's done.
Utilities.
Location of existing proposed parks and open space, that not applicable.
Yeah.
Location of utilities, septic systems, wells, parking areas, stormwater drainage line, drainage structures, and we've been through that. That doesn't apply.
Yeah, and I do have, the septic plan for the larger lot and a driveway plan. I just don't, they weren't included in
Okay.
the packet.
OHP is overhead power.
Yep.
Is that what this line is?
Yep.
It's not in the key.
Location of zoning districts.
Yep.
So this little sliver of the 175 feet that's just north of the commercial district. Oh, okay, it does say rural district, sorry. We've got the abutters.
And that's also the one that needs to get updated, but other
Yep.
than that,
And the site location map, there's one of those. all surface water on and within 200 feet of the site. I think we've got that,
Yeah, there's wetlands is the only one that I know of. I looked for any other.
okay? Property setbacks according to table 5.1.
Yep, those are there.
In the final plat, that would happen, yeah. Lot size and density calculations, so
Worksheet was provided.
a worksheet was provided,
for
but
lot two.
but I think we're going down this road and then we've got something that's not gonna be conforming.
So I have to, at some point, I would like to discuss the lot size calculations just a bit more, so I'm clear when I leave today. Because it wasn't, what I thought I had done was correct all along.
Well, it is correct as you,
Well, I'm not talking about the math, I'm talking about providing the adequate acreage and area, because that is not correct. You clearly stated that it doesn't meet the minimum lot size. So I'm not talking about whether I can add, subtract, or divide. I'm talking about how you come about your minimum lot size.
okay,
And so I was under the impression that, you know, there is the minimum lot size, but then there's also the reductions, and then there's also what you have to provide for, or what you're allowed to provide for developable area after you're done. Which is the number that 26,000 acre, the 26,000 square feet, or and 7,000. So I guess, yeah, because it's. I know what you're saying. I think I know what you're saying. But this was, so the total building footprint that we have, total lot coverage.
Yep.
I was under the impression, as it was explained to me, that once we met those areas,
mhm,
that this is what you had to produce. Based on the areas that were remaining, 10% of the building footprint, 20% of the maximum lot coverage. That's how much we could impact, but we had only impacted this much.
mhm.
So we were still within the
Yeah, that's. conforming.
criteria. Correct.
Yep.
So then it's also conforming in that it's 5 acres. Your minimum lot size is 2 acres. So I was under the impression that you have to start with 2 acres, and then when you're completed with this information, that as long as you fell within these numbers, then you had an acceptable lot.
Hmm. I was just reading the subdivision regulations and what lot size
Well,
is, and,
I'm pretty sure that when I pulled together the same, I mean, this is
Yeah.
exactly the way I did it for another woman over just north of here a couple years ago,
Mhm.
and same situation. These were the numbers that we were, once
aiming for.
we provided, yeah, because we provided enough area.
Yeah.
There's enough receiving area for a state approved septic system on this lot all day, every day.
Mhm.
Which is one of the public health and safety concerns that everybody
Yeah.
has.
Of course, yeah.
But when it comes to actually how what you're allowed to develop on the lot, these are the numbers that we're
Correct.
concerned about.
Yep, yep,
So we meet it in 2 ways. We exceed it in area because we have over 2 acres. We have 5 acres. And when we make these reductions for development, that we could develop up to, based on what we're provided minus the restrictions in the conservation zone. You know, we could have a almost 5,000 square foot home and, 9,000 square feet of impervious surface. So we meet the receiving area based on soils and slopes and lot area. So, I mean, but to say, I mean, we have more than a minimum lot size. It's a 5 acre lot, not a 2 acre lot.
yeah, the problem is that here it says in the subdivision of land in Lyme, lot size shall mean the horizontal land area within the boundaries of a lot exclusive of these things.
Correct.
So I was you know, we're doing a subdivision, that's what I was doing in my head. And that's why I was looking here and, you know,
So Vicky, we're saying that after you take out the overlay districts, we subtract from that, it's less than 200.
correct.
Okay.
He's done the math here, it's 1.05, it's not 0.5.
Right.
Yeah, and
And some provision
And I
regulations.
mean, I don't know, I'm not the zoning administrator. I'm just, you know, saying that's. My,
Well, I mean, I think that,
I think that's.
I
what
think
we-
your interpretation is what the zoning regs say. I mean, it's not something that,
It's debatable, I'm not the zoning administrator, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to make sure that this
But that's-
conforms with our subdivision regulations.
So it's only with subdivisions that little detail is.
I don't know,
maintained.
I'm not
No,
the zoning
if,
administrator, so. I don't
Any,
know.
you know, when you come to me with a vacant lot, or you come doing anything that you wanna add a new building, I do those calculations to subtract the conservation districts from the actual lot size, and then come up with a calculated lot size, and the building footprint and lot coverage are based off of those numbers.
Right. But in the rural district, if somebody had, say, 8 acres, and you took away all the overlay districts and they only ended up with 3 acres, say 4 acres.
Yep.
Then the lot wouldn't be big enough.
To
For the 5
it wouldn't
acre.
be big enough to subdivide.
It's subdivided.
If it's an existing lot,
Eight.
then
Right,
you would be looking at the,
I would use the calculated
lot
number to
coverage.
figure the lot coverage and the building footprint.
and
Right.
provided those were not within part of the conservation district, they could theoretically build a house or a building in that area, but again, if it was if they've got a lot that is existing and they're not creating a lot, then that's the difference.
Right. This is creating-
This is creating a lot. It's a further subdivision of a lot that was originally grandfathered, but it has been subdivided now, so now it is required to
meet the,
comply with the current zoning rules.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when it was originally subdivided, right?
It-
This is the second time it's been
I
subdivided.
think this is the second time it's
Yeah.
been subdivided.
Okay. That makes
there
sense.
used to be one lot with the lot above it, and that was subdivided, and then
Right, so Sandy's
Right.
lot, and then.
But it clearly would not have had any problem meeting the criteria.
No.
It's only this,
Yeah.
And it sounds like we just missed it.
it's only the choice
I
of where he
apologize,
wants
I
to
checked everything else.
subdivide That's creating
Yeah,
this
well, that's
problem.
none of this whole
This
thing.
is the old
really.
way.
That's what it all comes down to.
for the subdivision, right, he needs
It's what
2
it's all
acres
about, yeah.
of, that's out of the. Yeah.
So
Where is the subdivision?
Regulations.
let's keep moving on this if we can.
Yeah.
I was just-
The sewage disposal plans. So you say, so as part of this application, you've got a sewage design for
That's,
the larger lot.
Yes, I have,
understand, because that's a different. This
I mean, that's not a requirement of subdivision, right?
Yeah, do you have,
Or
well, it's all proposed plan, this is a proposed plan, so I have,
oh, you should get that.
I'm not gonna make,
Yeah.
you make copies
Yeah.
of this. You know, that's just an expense, I think is, but this has,
Okay,
been state approved. And so, yes, we have,
and getting back to Vicky's initial line of questioning regarding the existing house and well, it's 2 dwelling units.
Yep.
That has a septic system that's not known to have failed.
Right.
And it has we have a statement indicating that a new septic system could be built, so.
Correct.
That covers us. Um, and we're gonna ask for the soil test information.
Yeah, I'm gonna
for the,
email Chris tomorrow
yeah.
and say, can you send me the test pit data?
Um, plans for controlling surface water runoff.
So I had a question just on that. I haven't seen that driveway plan and, culverts that are going underneath that driveway to drain it. I assume are far enough away from the boundary of the smaller lot that there won't be
Yeah.
impacts.
Yes, it's, if you look at the Woods Road, the driveway is pretty much following
Mhm.
the Woods Road.
Yeah, but
So,
I mean, there's gonna be culverts that go underneath that driveway and, I don't know what they dump out into. I mean, are they going into a ditch and going along the side, or are they going into?
at the moment, the only thing I have is the plan for the location of the driveway. I don't have any more details.
Okay,
Hi, can I interject as a neighbor? This is Meg Maker. There is often standing water at the end of Preston Road in the spring during runoff because we get a lot of water off the hill. It doesn't necessarily extend as far as where that cut is, but there may be a necessity of a culvert under Route 10 or something to drain some water, or at least a culvert under that access road. Yeah, a
That is
ditch of some
controlled by the
kind.
state.
Yeah, it's pretty
Some,
wet there. Yeah.
yeah, the curb cut is, completely controlled by the state and we have no, way of there's nothing we can enforce on that. They're the ones that would make that decision.
Okay. So what are we thinking about on surface water runoff? At this point, there's no erosion control plan or anything
No.
to that effect. One of the things I noted was there are several places along using this LiDAR data. There are several places where this road or drive is going to be exceeding looks like it's going to exceed the 11% that our regulations require. I just took a couple of spots. One is 12%, one's 14%, where the contour lines are pretty close. I'm wondering how that's addressed in the driveway plan.
I can give you the plan. And that may not, I don't think that one has the actual profile data.
It curves, it cuts further off it doesn't exactly follow the wood road.
Oh, yeah, the very back end. So, yeah, they're showing 96 feet at 12.5%.
Yeah, that's, that has changed. This was, I apologize, I don't have the full final plan, but we had worked out. There were a couple of areas that I asked them to change, and I just got screenshots of the change. I had not gotten a full plan, this was
Okay.
all just preliminary talking, so this was.
Does the driveway plan and all this other stuff, is that part of the building permit and like
Yes.
the development of the site?
Yeah.
And so that's also being reviewed as part of the subdivision right now? Is it coincident with the subdivision and what our application is asking here? Cause we're just asking to subdivide the house lot and remaining land. So we're just asking for a minor 2-lot subdivision. We're not asking you to review a building permit and driveway specs to somebody's house that the permit hasn't been submitted for. we're just getting some answers on where we're going with this subdivision.
Sure.
And so, I mean, you know, that's my understanding, what we're here for.
Yeah, because this would all come up later, right?
Yeah, but in my
Yeah.
view, we're creating lots and every lot needs to have reasonable access, needs to have a septic system and a well site. And so the
Well,
access
Is
is,
that the case that on a 25-acre lot, in a minor subdivision, I'm just for
Mhm.
clarification
Yep.
on the planning board's behalf, every lot created needs to have a test pit?
Yes.
Okay, even if you create, okay, so you're creating two
The
100-acre lots,
Yeah, the planning
each
board is
100-acre lot needs a test pit to
Yep.
prove it's
to
buildable.
prove that that you can build
Okay.
on. The planning board does not want to create lots that are
No,
unbuildable.
that's, okay, because that's,
and my main concern is that
which we
the
have. but we do have
intersection of the
test pit.
driveway with the, state or town road is approvable by whatever jurisdiction.
Sure, the state of New Hampshire.
So I'm good with that, and I believe that if it's following this woods road, it's gonna be far enough away from the existing development that's not gonna affect the drainage onto somebody's septic system, for example.
Mhm.
It's gonna get worse. So I'm good with that layout, but it's mainly the intersection that we wanna know is a safe one for whoever's gonna live there.
Sure. But where the end
Okay.
of, where the driveway ultimately ends up, that's a different,
That's a
that's a
different
different
thing.
story.
Maybe we don't
Yeah,
have to worry
that's what I
about
wanted to
And,
clarify.
if,
Yeah.
It could be
Because,
different.
well, Rich, when
It
I,
don't have to be.
again, when I get the application, I'm going to be looking at it and I'm going to
Okay.
ensure that there is no issues.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I just didn't want us to be creating a lot that is not accessible, or it puts additional pressure on Preston Road, which is already pretty steep, and I would hate to see another driveway on the steep part of that road.
So this is Meg Maker again. I'm going to chime in. I'm sorry. Thank you all so much for your service and your deep thought about this issue. It's very meaningful that we have such committed servants who are thinking so deeply about these problems. I want to extend a warm, neighborly hand to our neighbors because we really want people to be able to thrive in Lyme. And I am happy to welcome a new home across the street from us. And I want to make sure that it conforms to all the regulations and it's very safe and everyone has a good future here. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for your deep thought about these issues and your work and your service. And I just want to say, welcome, neighbors. We want to have you here. So thank you very much. And I'll sign off.
Thank you, Meg. So item 6, preservation of significant natural and historic features.
So I guess there was one thing, I guess the natural features they're not insignificant, but there's nothing like that's outstanding. But that, Lime Hill and Valley Association thing about building, so that whatever you build has got to be architecturally, so, there's some architectural control, so as long as you can't see it from Route 10 or from Preston Road, doesn't matter what it looks like. And that still applies on this,
I believe it does, and I was,
but we're not enforcing that. That's enforceable by the Lime Hill Valley Association, which isn't here with us any longer.
but I don't know what again, once I get the permit application for the house,
Mhm.
I'm going to find out, if the easement has been passed on to another organization,
Mhm.
for enforcement, and then,
Okay,
It's not in the
I mean,
deed.
it wasn't anything I saw recorded under the current deed, so.
Yeah, it's not in the deed then.
But it does,
Well,
it does, go to its successor.
Whether it's been passed on to another organization that.
Oh, okay.
For enforcement, the Lyme Valley is, there's.
Because that would have had to been, I would have assumed that would have had to been also recorded and amended in the deed when it was brought into Seth's chain of title.
You know, you would think,
You'd
but
think.
things like that kind of thing gets omitted, and, you know, it happens. And I just didn't know what the status was, but it looks like unless they do a huge clearing, that this thing is not gonna be visible in any way that you would see architectural details. I mean, you would be able to see the lights up on the hillside, but that's about it. So that is a,
Yep, it'll be an
Whatever.
issue that I will address when
yeah, and
I'm
that's
aware
so,
of it and.
yeah, that's the only thing that I think has bearing here, and maybe it doesn't have any bearing because it's gone since One Home Valley Association's gone.
Okay. And then title matters, most recent deed of the property.
Yep, I have all that. And then the national flood insurance, it's not within a floodplain.
Okay. So. I think, so we have to, at this point, determine whether the application is complete. It may not conform to the subdivision rules, but we can at least determine whether it's complete. Am I correct in
Right.
assuming this?
Well, we need to say what we wanna waive
And-
before we wanna,
Right,
you know, so I'm happy with the topographic map not being submitted separately. And I'm also happy with the conservation districts not being shown for lot one. And I'd make that into a motion to waive those two things. I don't know, do we have other things we're waiving? And those are the waivers that we requested.
The soil
we
type
were
map.
also going to ask for the soil test
Test
for
pit.
the test pit.
Well,
Yes,
it's gonna submit that. I mean, Chris Lester has it, so it's just a matter of putting it in our file so that we have it
Okay,
to show, oh yeah, he said it and this is why.
okay. So we have a motion to accept the application as complete with a waiver of the topo map and the conservation district boundaries
Or a lot.
for lot one. Do we have a second? All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, so we have a complete application with a couple of waivers. So now I guess we want to have a little general discussion. What are our options here? We can either approve it or disapprove it, I think. And is it bad for us to disapprove it on the basis that lot two is not does not conform with the subdivision rules?
Unless could we
Or-
approve it?
Or can we ask the applicant to
Modify the
to
lot line.
modify the lot size and
Yeah,
come
we
back
could- we could
and we
approve
could
it.
table the discussion.
What you
To
can
a
do
further
is
date.
continue the hearing to another date and time specific. And give you time to update that, resubmit. And then.
With a new lot size calculation. Fix the, I see you've got my north arrow circle, there's so.
Oh, no, that,
Okay,
I-
just
I-
going through the checklist.
I go through, I
Yeah.
mark up the
okay,
map to make
gotcha.
sure.
I was just looking at
Yeah.
the highlighter.
Yeah, no, I highlight things just so I might know and use.
Not to worry.
My professor's gotten after me with the red pen.
No, I-
So, okay, so, and then, so revise the calculations to, add that 0.95.
Mhm.
And then, so that it's 2.0. And then, fix the abutter.
Alright. So is it possible to approve it contingent
That would be another
On
option
doing
if you want to approve it contingent on them
and
supplying.
completing?
I think we really need to see where where they put the boundaries. I mean, they could take up all the road frontage, or they could, create, I don't know,
Gerrymandered lots.
a gerrymandered lot, a dog-legged lot or something, I don't know, a bowling alley lot. Um,
Well, I think I would be in favor of seeing this again, and I don't think it's gonna be, I mean, we've basically reviewed for completeness, and it's just a matter of getting that bottom line number to be 2 instead of 1.05. I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't think it'll be a
I
extensive,
don't think it will be either.
yeah, and I don't even think Eric needs to show up if that happens, so save you a trip. Because that's all we're looking for, and then.
I got you. Yeah, no, I understand.
Pro forma.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't have any more questions. You know, if anybody has questions, he's here to answer those questions and. But I think it's almost like giving a conditional approval that we wanna see it and then it's done, but we don't have to renotice it if we just do it this way. By continuing it, and we have time to do that.
Okay.
So,
When do you think you can get it done by?
Tomorrow.
Oh, okay,
Next meeting is,
I mean, it's that simple.
yeah, great.
we're not meeting
It's-
till next year.
yes, going to be January, I'll get my name.
8th.
8th.
David, I might be the only one who cares about this, but Gina has a way to send out meeting, meeting dates and times via Outlook so that you get an email and you just click on it and it pops into your calendar. Could you, if it's not too much trouble, could you check with her about that? And
Yeah, no, I can do that.
Cause it makes it way easier. I mean, I don't know, you guys, I have a bunch of these that I'm on, so
Mhm.
that way it just pops up and I don't have to be trying to figure it out.
So, I'll make a motion to continue this hearing until, January 8th, 2026.
We have
I'll
a
second.
second by David. Further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Opposed, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, I
There's
get it.
A snafu here.
No, it's, you know,
That's all we do these though, because you get a bunch of eyes on something.
And honestly, we don't do that many subdivisions, so it's like I had to get out the regulations and you go through it, so
yeah, no, I get
that's when
that.
it popped out. All right.
Good, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Nice to meet you. Our next item of business is the curb cut regs. Do we have a new version?
I will pass that out. I'll just keep one for myself and.
So this has the Niles amendment. So David, we just need to accept
Yeah,
the language of the,
yeah, I'm going to say this is a public hearing,
oh,
so you have to open the public hearing, which
okay.
I'm saying you have, there's, I don't know if there's any input from any of the public, if Lynn has any input on it.
So this is a public hearing on revising the language of the curb cut. What's the title of this document?
It's the curb cut regulations.
Curb cut regulations for folks that are, how many folks do we have
Lynn is the only
Lynn, okay.
public.
For Lynn's benefit, the highway agent has requested some assistance in revising the language of the curb cut requirements to provide a slope away from the road, so that steep driveways that are coming off of a hill and down into the town road have some ability to shed the water into a ditch line rather than into the roadway. And so what we are proposing to do is to indicate that the grade of the access way curb cut shall fall away from the road at a 3% grade plus or minus 1% for the first 20 feet of the driveway. And that's the only change in the language for this regulation. And I believe I'm telling the truth here. Yeah, the rest of the language is the
The
same.
rest is the same.
So, are there any comments from the board members?
Nope.
We've looked at this several times.
No.
Um,
Yeah, as the person that does the driveway permits, I think it's fine. I mean, it's
Clear?
clear.
It's clear.
Yeah, good. I think
Great.
Scott should be, has Scott seen this?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna.
Yeah, no, I
That's
talked
good
to
with this.
That's good with this.
good.
Yeah, just he and I've talked about it a lot, but yeah.
So open for public discussion. Rich Brown, do you have any questions, comments on that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Okay, and Lynn? No, okay. I would entertain a motion to accept this change to or revision to the curb cut regulations.
I'll move to.
Okay. And a second?
Second.
Okay, by Tim. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
David,
Okay. All right. That, we will close the public hearing on the curb cut. Next item of business is the minutes for November 13. There, Rich Brown had some comments. Yeah, I think one of the first one was probably on item 1. And I think it's just a matter of semantics in terms of what is it that the board does when a petitioned amendment comes in? Are we actually approving it? Are we supporting it? Are we?
Well, you know, you vote to either approve or not.
To approve or disapprove of it is the only what will happen at a public hearing.
Okay, so your language was right, and
So David, I mean, I seem to remember that the language on the, I could be wrong. The language on the warrant is the board recommends or does not recommend, or am I misremembering it?
Let me, easiest way of telling you, let me look it up.
Okay.
while he's looking,
Yeah, item 1, the bolded was carried. The name is spelled correctly for people present, but it's not under item 1 in the heading.
You can hold on, just, I'm not gonna have time to touch
okay.
this and look this up.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, and it's correct, like on
We
page
did-
3.
it
all
is
the-
correct.
So based on RSA 675-4.
Mhm.
Each petition amendment shall be placed on the ballot, which may be a separate ballot used separate from the ballot used to elect town or district officers. A notation on the ballot stating the planning board's approval or disapproval shall be immediately followed to the question's description.
Excellent. I stand corrected. Thank you.
Yep.
It's funny because recommended is often the language on some of the other articles. on the
Right,
ballot.
yeah, like the budget committee
Budget committee,
recommends, or,
exactly.
Yeah, this one, the RSA says whether approval or disapproval.
Yep. Good.
Okay, so
The heading on item one, the bolded, Liz Carey is spelled incorrectly. C and then no N. But it's correct elsewhere, so.
Yeah.
I didn't have any other changes.
I just had a typo on item 6. The last sentence. The zoning administrator was asked.
All right,
Yeah,
Just a typo.
and then further. Vicky also noted that the board could also, oh, well, that's okay, that's fine.
yeah, too many alsos, but that's okay. I probably said it just like that.
I can just take out the first also, and
Oh, you don't have.
well, I will, just, I'm gonna be in there editing, so.
Okay.
And Rich, the item 2, the second sentence starts out, the asked the board something, something, something.
So maybe the chair asked the board
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yep.
if they had any comments, and so it'd be comments plural. Um. And then anything else,
I also asked that the item 5 says that there was new language. Is there any reason that that language is not included along with the minutes, either directly in line or if it were too long? That just as a separate page.
I can add the language.
Thank you.
That's easy enough to put in.
okay. Um. Okay, anything else? Not, can we,
Move to approve them as amended.
okay, second by Tim. All those in favor say aye, and then opposed, okay.
I'm gonna abstain because I had to.
Okay. Okay. So our next item is a discussion about the housing survey. The housing survey, I had concerns about social media and what one of the board members was doing in terms of trying to attempt to influence others through their blog, and it seemed inappropriate that in addition to trying to influence other members, there was, a disrespect for the process that we had gone through, and that, it was taken as disparaging remarks made by this member. And so we held off our last meeting in order to consider legal opinion in terms of where we should go with this. It
it seems it's taint, excuse me, it seems like the survey is tainted, I would think.
I think there's certainly concern that, that the survey has, um, has some issues with it at this point, and that, that there's been an attempt to influence the outcome by one of our members. And, it's also unfortunate that, that the town has not held on to, the control of the electronic, version of the survey. So, I wanted to open it up for discussion to see what other members have, may have for thoughts on the survey and how we want to proceed forward with this. So I guess I'd open up for discussion at this point.
So Rich, this is Rich Brown. I'm gonna, in case there was any mystery, I'm gonna say that I think you're referring to me and to the blog posting that I put on on my own personal website that said, these are my considered answers to these questions. I think this is very clearly a First Amendment question. I think the residents of Lyme have every right to know what any of the members of the board think. I happen to have offered mine, and if I can't see how that would improperly sway the opinions of anyone in town.
Rich, I think you could do it if you weren't on a board. I would defend your right to do it if you weren't on a board or a commission. But as a member of something like that, you can't do that. You can't
Tim?
put it out. Otherwise, we could all put it on Lyme listserv. I mean, all of us.
Well,
The
and
select
Tim,
board
I was
could do it,
very,
the budget committee could do it.
I'm sorry, I'm breaking in. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I was just saying that following that reasoning, then the select board could put it out on the listserv, how people should vote at town meeting on things. The budget committee could put things out on the listserv, how they, how people should vote for budgets and all that.
Mhm. And
Yeah, I agree. I think when you agree to serve on a board like this, you undertake an obligation to act in an unbiased and disinterested way. Our job as members of this board or of any board is to gauge the feelings of the town that the people we're representing, and to try to effectuate those feelings, and to put our own personal preferences aside, our own. You don't sign up to be on a board like this so that you can effectuate your own desires, particularly not desires that align with your economic interest. It seems to me what Rich did here was to try to put his thumb on the scale. He has strongly held views about what the rules ought to be. And that's not our job here as board members. Our job is to gauge the feelings of the people in the town and to try to effectuate their desires, not our own personal desires. And I agree with Rich and with Tim that unfortunately, I think by putting his thumb on the scale in this way, it makes it very difficult to determine what these results mean. To what extent do they represent the uninfluenced views of town members, and to what extent do they represent the results of Rich's lobbying effectively?
so before I respond, may I ask how many members of the board have seen the survey results, the electronic survey results?
Nobody, right?
I don't think anybody has.
And
Well, I
just
know
as
you,
a
Rich,
separate
have.
aside, in talking to town council about this, the thing that I think they were most alarmed by was that we had conducted town business and sort of delegated the responsibility for that data and that record keeping to an individual person rather than town council felt very strongly that data and that information ought to be in David Robbins' hands and not in any of our individual hands. So
Okay.
as independent of this discussion, I would ask Rich that you convey all of that information to David Robbins and give him access to it, give him the results of that survey and access to that information. That way, if we get a public records request, we can respond to it without having to come to you to try to get it.
That's totally fair. Thank you, David. Lynn, did you have something to say?
You're muted, Lynn.
So I just asked if it was appropriate for me to say something. I don't know when things are when there's a public section of the meeting and when I'm just supposed to listen.
I think we're not opposed to getting public input.
The only thing that I would say is, with tremendous respect for the hard work and the importance of this survey and all the work that's gone into it, I find it a little offensive that people would think that I would base my answers on some blog post that Rich put out. Now, I have actually read Rich's blog post. I read it after I filled out the survey, only by happenstance. But, if Rich were out there potentially doing what you said, which is lobbying and potentially lobbying under the specter of being an alternate to the board, maybe that would be different. But I I think people who go out of their way to fill out a survey like this understand its importance and the importance of considered answers and responses. And to say, oh, people are only going to fill it out the way Rich told them to, I think it's a little bit demeaning. So I'll just say that's my reaction to it.
Well, I would just say to that point, Maureen Byrne wrote, I don't know Maureen, but she said, thanks, Rich. I already filled out my survey just this morning, but many of your points guided my responses.
So, Rich, may I add a another thought here? This very issue came up in the school district of Sandown, New Hampshire. And the school board had an edict that after an issue is decided, that all the board members needed to, I'm going to paraphrase, toe the party line and not offer dissenting opinions. And the ACLU wrote them a very kind note saying, I think you need to reconsider this decision or we'll see you in court. And so it sounds to me very much as if you're saying that Rich Brown, an alternate member of this board, is not entitled to express a personal opinion on my own personal website. I did not use the listserv, which has special considerations. And so I completely disagree that this is in any way improper. To the extent that people believe what I say, they probably filled out the survey in that manner. I would like a very clear explanation of why you think it would be inappropriate for people to read different opinions and that would affect the outcome of the survey.
Go ahead, Vicki.
I just wanted to say how I feel about this and add a perspective. First of all, we worked long time to get the survey, and I'm
Yes.
incredibly disappointed that I mean, that there isn't gonna be a question about its validity because of this. And, you know, it makes me wanna like, you know, what's the point? And then if we were to do it again, you know, like, and then, you know, change the questions or something, I don't even know, but you know, this is like really important information for us and for, you know, what we've been trying to work toward for a long time. And so I'm just like kind of feeling deflated about, because I thought we had a pretty good product and everyone worked really hard to get it out, and then to have it hit the wall like this, so that it is not meaningful, or, you know, it could be meaningful to some people, but it'll always have a specter over it. Makes me, you know, feel sick to my stomach. I will say that, I respect Rich's First Amendment rights to say whatever he wants, and, but I agree with David about if you're on a board, you're held to a slightly higher standard, and, but I will say, the whole reason why I went to Rich's blog was because I followed the link, because I saw on listserv that somebody said, geez, I don't know how to fill this out. And you might want to take a look at Rich's blog. And so I'm not saying Rich said that, but somebody did, and, you know, and I followed the link. Like I'm sure a lot of people did, and it's not that I don't have opinions, but you know, but if I didn't have opinions, I think I would have been swayed by the presentation on Rich's blog. And so you know, so I feel distressed, I feel disappointed, and I feel like, you know, we worked for over a year and that our efforts have been sabotaged. So that's just how I feel. It's not legal, you know, but that's how I feel.
Did you know about this issue before tonight?
Did I know about, well, I knew that we weren't meeting on December 4th because there was a problem with, because I had it on my calendar, and
Right.
you know, that we were supposed to meet, and so then when we didn't meet, I knew that there was like a problem with what had happened with the survey.
And did you know what it was?
No, I did not know what it was.
Well, I mean, I think to be fair, if an argument can be presented by anybody about the issues in the survey, I mean, why is that kind of public debate not acceptable? I mean, the townspeople voted for the members of the board based upon their understanding of their positions on the different issues. And so, I mean, I think that one person's opinion would change things. I mean, you go out and you look for information.
Well, I think it's debatable, you know, debatable whether how accurate the information is that one receives from the
But
source.
that's
And-
true about anything in the
and-
information system.
And, you know, as Vicky said, I mean, we spent a lot of time on this.
I
We got
certainly
to and Hebe, you were right in there, and Rich as well. I mean, Rich spent a ton of time on it, and to then not once, but twice, you know, put out comments, trying to persuade people how to answer the survey. And sadly, you know, Rich is curating the electronic survey, so it's really difficult for me to think that we can say with a straight face that, oh, here are the untainted results of a survey.
Are you now suggesting that we've played with results in some way?
I'm just suggesting that it has an appearance, and it in no way says that anything happened, but it certainly has an appearance of.
So Hebe, if you're a town resident and you're anti-development and you then get directed by Faith to Rich's blog and you see his very strongly held views about this that are very pro-development, and then you find out that Rich is in charge of curating the electronic results that we got back on that. it would not be unreasonable for somebody like that to say, I don't have faith that this board is gonna take my views into account or respond to the input from the survey in an impartial manner. Maybe that's false, maybe that's an unwarranted fear. Excuse me, for somebody to have, but it's not an unreasonable response, I think. I mean, that's why if you're a judge and you're presiding over a trial, you know, you don't give up your First Amendment rights when you become a member of the judiciary, but you do have an obligation when you're on a board that's making public decisions like this to try to be unbiased and to not express a view before you've heard from the people that you're representing, I think.
Well, Rich didn't post to the listserv.
Yeah, but as far as I'm
For a second,
concerned,
that was, you know, look, I don't have any way to know, but one could certainly suspect that was not a spontaneous, thing.
yeah, my opinion is that it's still social media. It goes out to everyone, whether it's the listserv or whether it's a blog or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's still going out to everybody and it's social media. So saying it's on his blog doesn't mean anything.
And also the question about whether or not you can stifle members of a board after a decision has been made is a completely different thing. You know, obviously you don't give up, by serving on a town board, you don't give up your First Amendment rights, but when the matter is before the board, there's some limitations, I think, or there should be.
Well, I thought, board members were not supposed to post to the listserv,
Right.
but,
Well,
There's no
they're not
difference.
supposed to post to the listserv with respect to matters that are before the board.
but that's exactly what you've
No,
done.
I never did that. With respect to that warrant article was not before the select board when I sent that email. The select board had already considered it and passed on it and voted on it. It was before the town. So that's a very important distinction, I think.
But you were trying to persuade the town meeting how to vote then, weren't you?
Well, yeah, and Rich should be entitled to do that if this board had passed on something and it was up for a vote at town meeting. I don't think you walk away from your First Amendment rights, but when the matter is before the board, you have an obligation to sort of hold your thoughts, and I think. And act a little with some impartiality. At least that's my view of it.
Right, Lynn would like to speak.
I think there's a really big difference between someone expressing their personal view and what I think is a giant leap that when the person is sitting as a member of a board, they are not going to do their job, which is to be unbiased and take into account the views of the people. All sorts of people who sit on boards have personal views and they can express them. And that's very different from saying that people can't, I mean, because I'm sure all of you guys have personal views about all sorts of things that come before this board. And that's very different from saying when you're sitting there as a member of the board, you're not going to do your job. And your job, I completely agree, is to be unbiased, to put aside your personal views and to take into account, what your constituents want. And potentially to defend some of them and others. And that's what these town boards are so really excellent at. But I think, I don't know, to take an expression of personal views and turn it into potentially misusing data and potentially abusing a role on a board are pretty big leaps of faith for me among a community where giving people the benefit of the doubt is what we do every day in our lives. So I don't know, I'm just an observer, but this just feels like it's going in not the direction that I would expect a conversation like this to go. And I came to this meeting because I was really interested in what was going on with the survey, so that's why I stuck around. But I wasn't very interested in the curb thing.
But I don't think anybody here is saying the data was misused. I think, and perhaps the part that Vicky mentioned that isn't really getting across, that the whole purpose of this was to try and get an objective idea. And we all had to sort of put our own biases in the back seat to write these questions so that they weren't tilted. And we argued about tilt. You know, why the hell did we do that, Rich? If you were just gonna tilt it the other way. I mean, why were you even involved in that process? If you were going to put your thumb on the scale like that? I mean, that's really what we're saying. And you're right, you have a First Amendment right, but and I don't know about the principles of being on a town meeting, you know, or being on a town council, or whether you have to curb those First Amendment rights, but I do know what we were doing, you know, during those meetings. And you violated that.
So let me come in and say a couple things here. First off, I have just granted David Robbins full access to the survey results. That's number one. Number two, I will assure you that I have not manipulated, I have not monkeyed with, I have not changed this data in any way. The data that is on the site that David now has access to is unchanged. And number three, I have had many people say to me that the format of these questions was skewed, was leading the witness. And these were comments that I made to the board back in August. They independently said, I don't know if they said them independently, but they surely agreed with me that there were concerns about the usefulness of these questions. My responses on my website said, primarily, this is how I am answering these questions based on my experience and my knowledge as someone who's fairly familiar with planning and what would be good, what my impression is would be good for people in Lyme. If people agreed with those sentiments and fill out the survey that way, that's fine. If people think I am just straight wrong, that's fine too. It's important for people to give their actual opinions. I'm done.
So,
Richard, just another question. Did you make absolutely clear in the blog that you were not speaking for the board when you wrote that? Did you actually have a strict disclaimer statement of that type?
No,
Yes, I always do that.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either,
It's
Richard. In
it's
fact, you
okay.
mentioned that you were a member of the board, but you never said these are my personal views and don't reflect those of the board that I could see. If I missed that, I apologize.
All right. So to that point, I always include this disclaimer. Feel free to share this post on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or email. Any opinions expressed here are solely my own and not those of any public body, such as the Lyme Planning Board, Budget Committee, or trustee of the trust funds where I volunteer. And then I would be interested to hear your thoughts. Please email me.
That in the
You need
text,
you
or
need
is
to
that just at the top of your blog?
you need to scroll down. It's a little bit further down.
So it wasn't in the text of the blog of the actual subject matter.
It is at the bottom of the post.
That's sort of boilerplate.
It is, of course, it's boilerplate because it's true. It's very carefully written.
I would have thought it should have been the first line.
Why?
Because this is because of the gravity of the fact that you were actually taking part in making this survey. You were an active participant in making the survey.
So, Nat, the first paragraph describes some of my overall reactions. My second paragraph is, I did ask the planning board where I am an alternate member to consider other questions. See my letter below. Some of my requests made it into the survey. Here's how I'm answering and why. I think it's pretty clear that I did make suggestions to the planning board, and I agree that the disclaimer that these are my opinions alone is at the bottom. If I had, so let's say this, I suppose I had written a letter to the editor of the Valley News with exactly this. They would have closed with, Brown is an alternate on the Lyme Planning Board. He says these are his opinions alone. Would that have tainted the survey? Suppose I had taken out an ad in the Valley News or Daybreak or something to say this. Would any of those?
I think probably any way you cut it, you've tainted the survey. It just would have been nice if you had had that disclaimer right up front, at least in my view. Because just because of the process that we went through, it wouldn't have been quite as offensive to me if you would put that disclaimer right up front.
Okay.
Well, I guess the question really before the board is, what do we do with the survey? And do we go forward and tabulate it, or do we throw it out? Or do we do something different?
I think we have to throw it out.
I really, I think it feels tainted to me. I just can't feel like I can support this in good faith. I mean, we have worked so hard on this and we've had our efforts torpedoed.
Well, especially when somebody writes, says that I filled this out, guided by Rich's responses.
Yeah, I think you can't unring this bell though,
Yeah.
and we got the data we got. It's not like we could redo this and expect anything different.
Right.
So I don't, you know, maybe we wanna sort of digest it and think about it a little bit before we make a final decision on what we're gonna do. I think my inclination would be to still look at the data and see what we get out of it.
I don't think you can do that. Right now, we don't know what the data is. I think now we have to make the decision. If we look at the data, then our decision is tainted.
Yeah.
Right, and so we decide right now whether we think that the survey is tainted or not. While we know nothing about the results, I think that's the only clean way to do it.
That's right.
I think you're right.
I mean, I think this survey is incredibly important. I think it's taken, you guys have put so much time and effort and energy into it. It is extremely timely and important for the town. I think, as you say, if you're worried that if we were to do it again, we'd have just as many reservations. And so what do you do? Do you wait a year? Well, I think that is just pushing this really important issue down the road. And this is not a law. Whatever the results of this survey aren't binding. They're not, I mean, they really are to advise the planning board about the sentiment of the town. And I would go back to my first point, which is, I think people who go to the effort of filling out a survey like this think about it, and they think about their thoughts. And it's not like we have brainless people who all of a sudden are going to read Rich's blog and say, oh my gosh, Rich just told me something I didn't know. He just made me think something I didn't think. He made me feel something I didn't feel. So, unless you believe he was, I don't want to put this thought in your head, that he was out there bribing people to fill it out in one way or another, which of course nobody would think. I think we need to assume that our population is not going to take something as important as this to the town and fill it out in ways that don't reflect their views.
And Lynn, respectfully, you're making the argument that Rich's post had no influence. And you may be right, but you don't have really any way to know that. And none of us do, and that is the problem. Is that there's just no way to evaluate to what extent Rich's putting his thumb on the scale had an impact on these survey results. And
We know it had
and you couldn't today promise me that it didn't affect things. There's just no way, none of us know.
No, but what I would say is people have access to all sorts of information. You know, they can, read an article in the Washington Post about development in, smaller communities. They can read something in the Valley News. They can access all sorts of information, and people do, because we have a very well-informed populace who are bombarded with information about issues all the time. So to pick out Rich's blog and say, well, that's the one thing that we're worried about tainting the survey, without thinking about the fact that that blog post sits in the middle of so much other information that could easily have affected it for any individual in one way or another, I feel like, again, is taking away respect from the people who are filling it out.
The other thing is that Rich can probably tell how many visitors were to that page.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I don't think that anybody that we've seen has written a opinion piece about housing in Lyme that's aligned with the numbered questions that we had on our survey. So I know that people read the Washington Post and the New York Times and the Valley News, but in terms of, coming up with responses, none of those other places had our survey and how you answered and why. So it's different.
Yeah, except it isn't a closed book test,
Yeah, I understand. And I wish that Rich had said the things that he'd said, but not align them, his responses to our survey. And that for me would have been fine, because those are his beliefs, instead of having a cheat sheet as to how you might want to respond to the survey. I mean, that's.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious what was happening.
That's the thing, is I respect what he said.
If there were also editorial comments after each question.
Yeah, I know, yes.
So that I believe in to substantiate his answer.
Well, we know at least one person filled it out according to what Rich said. I mean, she said right here.
Yeah. Well, what do we want to do? Do we want to take action tonight? Do we want to?
Question, how many paper copies are out there that need to be tabulated?
I don't have a full count yet,
Well, is there 100 or?
at least.
Oh, really? Okay, and how many responses came through the computer?
185.
I'm thinking there's probably at least that many on the paper. That's a good,
Uh-huh,
I didn't want to go through any of it. I just,
no,
Put them-
I was just looking for a
wondered about
number.
the
Yes, I-
scale.
Response
of
rate.
The,
I
the
did.
job that we have and I'm not saying that.
But the thing is, you can't even assume the paper copies are.
True, I know, it's easier actually to look at his blog and fill it out with a paper copy than it would be to go back and forth if you were filling it out online. So, I mean, yeah, I haven't really thought this out at all.
Why don't we find out how many unique views there were to his blog post?
What is that, how many people looked at? the
Looked at it,
blog?
yep.
Yeah, well, I looked at it once when I saw Faith's post, and I just looked at it again now to see where the disclaimer was. So that's two.
Right. But I'm just saying,
you know,
if it's 25, what are you gonna say?
Painted.
25?
And before the survey deadline.
Well, it's 9:00.
Yeah.
I think we should make a motion
I
to
think,
validate the survey.
I mean, it's gonna leak. Once the information's out there,
Mhm.
then whatever decision we make is gonna be meaningless or equally tainted.
Yeah.
This is the moment
Yeah.
to make a
Right.
decision.
Okay. Do we have a motion as to what to do with the survey?
I would make a motion that because we feel the survey is tainted, that we vote to invalidate the survey.
Well, not invalidate, what we're saying is we're not gonna do anything with it, is that?
Right.
We're not even gonna look at it, we're not gonna tabulate it, we're not gonna.
Well, that's what I mean by invalidate, but yeah.
So you want to revise your,
I just don't know what
Well-
invalidate means, I mean,
Yeah.
the.
Well, okay, that we won't use the survey for any information.
I would say destroy it, destroy the data.
So we have over.
Because otherwise it's gonna be
100
used.
people that did
It's gonna be
respond.
used by somebody else to.
yeah,
I mean, if we believe that it's not valid, then we can't really follow through with interpreting that.
Rich, do you know how many people looked at it?
Well, more than 100, I don't know for sure.
So more than 100 and less than 200?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know at all?
I mean, I would have to look through the records and see.
but there were 100 hits.
Oh, 100 hits.
Is that what you're saying?
And we had
More
400.
than 100.
More
But,
than
but,
100.
but Rich, that could include the ones that were tonight, for example.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I did one, so just tonight, but, so 400, we've had 100 hits. Yeah, I hate to throw this away. Well,
Let's just see what it's.
Then we're supposed to say, oh, this can't be right because everybody responded just like Rich did on question 1. I mean, I don't wanna have to look at it that way, but it's wrong.
but-
It's, it's us putting another filter through it, which is wrong. I mean, you have to accept what you get, and if you can't accept what you're getting because there's a problem with the survey, you can't do it, so. All right,
So we have a motion to invalidate or to not
Not interpret,
interpret the,
because we believe it's invalid. How about
And
that?
then at some future point, we'll have to just figure out how we want to move forward with this
Right.
in some
Yeah.
other fashion, I
Yeah,
suppose.
that's a different issue.
yeah. But what are we going to do with the survey? I mean,
Just hold it
we-
for now.
do we have,
I would probably.
is it?
yeah, if we're not
If it-
gonna use it now, we're not gonna use it
Exactly,
ever.
exactly.
So, and nobody should be using it now or.
You know what, it's a public document, though, I'm not sure we
Yeah,
can
I don't.
destroy it, we probably have to retain it, and if people want to look at it, they're probably gonna be able to look at it, so.
I wanna look at it, I mean, I've got the, just kind of, I'm curious. I'm really happy to hear we got 400, I wish we'd gotten 800.
I don't know, I think that the morass we're in now will just get utterly
Yeah.
We're not looking.
messy.
I
if-
mean,
if
it's kind of
sticks
like,
around and it gets
if you
interpreted.
put a project out for public bid. And it's a municipal project, you put it out for public bid and the bidder doesn't comply with the bidding requirements. You don't open the bid, you just throw it away, you don't,
Mhm.
it's an invalid bid and you don't know what you're missing.
Right.
And
That's the way I see it.
that, that's.
But this is public.
I think the town is gonna expect to know the answers. That's why I came to this meeting, because I wanted to know what the results
We will
were.
just tell the town, this is why we threw it away.
Well, I don't
Just
think we
explain
can
it.
throw it away,
We
but I
can't.
think we can, as a board, we can decide not to use it.
Not use it.
I think that's the limit to this is a public document, it's a public record, you can't just, it's subject to open records laws. If people want to see this, then I think they could file a public records request and we'd be obligated to provide it, which is why the attorney was so alarmed that
Well,
some of it wasn't.
in that case, I would
But
I
we could
would
decide.
still not interpret it. I would throw it all in a box and wait for somebody to
Yeah.
ask for it.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah, we
maybe
could-
they'll never ask.
We
And,
could definitely do that. We could say, we've decided that we don't have faith in the results of this survey, that it was subject to inappropriate influence, and so we're not gonna look at it, and we're not gonna use it. I don't think we can discard it. I don't think we can.
Yeah, okay,
Right.
that's good. Yeah,
Right.
that's good.
David, I guess I'll address this to Rich. I resent the implication. I will just say this for the record. I resent the implication that I am putting on my finger on the scale that this is undue influence. I think the post that I made is truthful. It is backed up with actual data. And so I just want to go on the record that I resent that implication. I realize I am not a voting member of the board today, and so I have no influence over your choice.
Well, Rich, I would say you're entitled to your opinions, and it's unfortunate the way this played out. Because if Faith's post hadn't been on there, I wouldn't have even known that you had a blog that said anything like that, so, and I know that you did not intend for that type of broadcasting to happen, and, yeah, and it's unfortunate and disappointing.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I do not follow your blog, and I took the bait, when I saw the post on the listserv as well. And I couldn't believe what I saw. So, it's unfortunate. So, let's see if we can restate a motion here.
So that the survey will not be interpreted. And that the board believes it's invalid. It will not be destroyed simply because it is considered public record. But it will. And maybe that's it.
Yeah.
And I think all you have to say is that we move that we're not gonna review or use the results of the survey.
I mean, okay, so it will not be interpreted and we will not use the
Or we
result.
do not believe they should be used.
It's a good one.
No. Believe. It should be used. So we have a motion that the survey will not be interpreted and do not believe the results should be used. We have a motion by Nat. We have a second.
This is a motion, but, yeah, I'll second.
Okay,
I did the original motion, but yeah, we changed.
Do you want to withdraw your?
I don't think
Yeah,
we had
I'll-
a
you
second.
didn't really have a full
No, I didn't have a
motion.
second. That's right.
Yeah.
Cause I said, what does invalidate mean? We invalidate, we did not.
So
invalidate.
is there any other
We didn't-
discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Was unanimous. So, David, I guess if you can put all that stuff in a
I will
box.
print out all the electronic
Print out.
copies and put everything together in one box and.
Yes, it's probably kind of likely that we'll get a public records request, so we should have it in a way that we can give it to people if they want to see it.
Yeah, I can take, I haven't even opened any of the envelopes of the returns, other than, when Jordan gets something in, she'll open to see what it is, and survey, she gave it to me, I put it in a box for storage, until, for whatever the board wanted. I can open those envelopes, and take each one of them and, basically paper punch it and put it in a binder. And just in a random order as they.
So how would that work if somebody wants to see it? They
Then
would
I-
have to go through all 100 and some,
Yeah, they would,
and sit down and just. go
yep, I would give them the binder that has
Right.
all of them.
And, Rich, we would probably want you to, make whatever copies you have and,
He's made it available to me and I can,
right,
And
and you destroy the rest of them and not interpret them.
Destroy what?
Delete whatever electronic record there is of it.
You can't.
No, he should delete his version, but the town will have a version.
I'll
That's
print
really-
out the electronic ones.
Yeah, I don't think you can make him delete his version.
Yeah.
either.
I mean, it's it's pointing all at the same data set.
Yeah.
Rich is not good, if he's not gonna delete something, cause it's one point, it's not a copy.
Yes.
He's just given David Robbins access
You
to it.
can't tell him to do that anymore.
Right, so did the computer?
Well, I'm just trying to put Rich on the honor system that he won't go ahead and interpret it with graphs and numbers and exclamation points and
You know what?
send it out there because
Somebody in
it
town
supports
wanted
his
to-
view.
Somebody in town wanted to do that, they could.
Yeah. Well,
But as a board
right,
member.
I guess I'm just, given that this is what the board does, but I suppose he will go back to whatever the argument was from the other town in New Hampshire. But I think that we should say something about
So
whether or not
let me
we would
let me-
appreciate it if he did not do that.
Yeah,
let me jump in here and say that that I am comfortable agreeing not to post any copies of the data that I have. The original survey data is still on Google Forms. That's accessible to David now. And I will just not publish that data. Is that acceptable?
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, I guess that's all we can ask for.
Right. I mean,
Unfortunately,
I
there's
guess
lots of ways
I-
around that, but that's the That's the
I
best
get
we can do.
let me refine my my statement that I do in fact have a private copy of that data. I will not publish that copy. Should the data come out as a public record request or something like that, obviously I am choosing not to be bound by that.
Well, and that's only half the it's approximately
Yeah,
half the
yeah.
survey.
No, but the
So-
truth of the matter is, these are public documents. Someone wanted to go to the work and look at all the paper copies and tabulate them and look at the
Right.
digital copies and tabulate them and put out pie charts and graphs and say, this is what the survey showed. They could do that. And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Right.
I think the issue is that Rich already has that information.
No, he just has the digital stuff. He doesn't have the printed stuff.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah. So he's got
But,
half of it,
okay, whatever.
yeah.
You know what? Look, there's gonna be people who are gonna be unhappy with this. Lynn is probably unhappy with it right now.
Well, I think
I want to know what the results are. I don't know that I want to know what the results are badly enough to come down and sit there and hand tabulate 100+ pieces of paper copy, but I do want to know what they are.
I mean, what those surveys said were gonna be the basis of what we're gonna do about, changing our regulations, regarding housing in this town. And now we're back to square one. and trying to get people to come out and talk to us at public forums, which we've already held. And people, we didn't get 400 people. So it's incredibly disappointing.
That's the really hard part, right? Is that we
Yeah.
have to figure out what to do moving forward, and now
Yeah.
we're deprived of this tool.
Right.
Now I understand the impulse to not look at it, but that's all.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that we should, say well enough is good enough for this year and, declare victory and go home.
I got one more item. We received a petition zoning amendment. I want to pass out, this is just the front page. It has their amendment at the top, and then some of the signatures. I didn't provide all the signatures to the board. I didn't think, if you want them, I can give them to you.
This is the one that the Lyme Country Store pulled together.
Yes. And I would like to ask you to schedule the public hearing for it on January 8th. It would be your next meeting.
Can we squeeze in, downs and get that minor subdivision taken care of?
Oh, I think absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that should take 5 minutes, assuming we get the thing and then.
And unfortunately, Lynn has left, but I wanted to thank Lynn. She stepped in and tried to help with the language, so it made it a whole lot.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, great, that is great.
So David, this is public record, right? This,
Yes.
Yes.
yeah, so it's, yeah.
The board has the board is at the public hearing is going to do. Basically ask if there's any public comment. There's not really any. The board can't change it, and then the board will vote to approve or disapprove of it, and it goes to town meeting as it's written here.
Yep. How do we get, input in terms of how this affects or is coordinated with the rest of our zoning ordinance?
That's something that the board needs to look at it, individually to, and I will,
So we could ask you,
yeah, I was with Lynn when she wrote this, so we tried very hard to make sure there were no, but it was very last minute and
Yeah, I mean, that was the other reason why I thought it'd be good to have met last week, so we could have previewed this.
Yeah.
Well, this was done this week,
Well,
so it wasn't
if they
even,
know that it was possible, they might have gotten it done. Then.
No, it seems pretty last minute.
I mean, as of Tuesday, there was nothing.
They were struggling to find language, which could have been helped last Thursday.
You need a motion to adjourn?
We do.
I'll move.
Well,
So unfortunately, I'm not gonna be here for all of
There must be someplace.
well, that's no fair. You have to take at least two of us with you.
today's so very warm.
This would be the last meeting, and it rained the whole time I was there.
Oh, is that right? Oh.
Rich, I'm gonna end the meeting here. So.